Hello out there wherever you are. As for me, it's another year. We are here at St. Vincent College for Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp 2025. And man, when I stood in this parking lot 1 year ago today, I felt pretty confident. I knew what the Steelers' future was going to be. It was going to be a future where either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields was going to be quarterbacking this team for the next few years. Did not realize that coming into Steelers Training Camp 2025, there would be no Russell Wilson and there would be no Justin Fields. There would be no Micah Fitzpatrick. There would be no George Pickens. There would be a Jalen Ramsey, there would be a DK Metcalf, there would be an Aaron Rodgers and a Jonnu Smith. This is a very, very different team than what was put together last year, vaulted by a very, very interesting rookie class that I'm curious to see, what we can get out of them. Now, going into training camp, a lot of questions this year. My concerns are that they really have done nothing to address the wide receiver 2 position. Currently, Calvin Austin is wide receiver 2 for this team. That is a bit of a concern. The other one is that because they traded Micah Fitzpatrick in the hopes that Jalen Ramsey is going to play some sort of hybrid safety position, there's not really a set safety for this team unless you think Juan Thornhill, after a few down years in Cleveland, is going to come and fill that void. Hopefully he will. But we are going to step inside Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp 2025, St. Vincent College, Latrobe, PA, and Tom was here.
Hey, I'm Patrick Fabian, and you're watching TomWasHere.
Now, the one thing with training camp this year is they are cracking down on video. Very, very tight with the video, and security constantly reminding people no video, which is funny because if you look on Twitter, you see videos of practice almost every day. Now, I understand there's people breaking the rules, and you shouldn't do that. But I mean, when you're on the field, of which we get field passes every year, different kind of field passes, it changes by year. When you're on the field, you can't really see a whole lot. Maybe you can hear, maybe it's more about the audio aspect. Maybe they think we're tipping plays or something like that. But generally, the players block the field of view. So this is going to be more of a slideshow video because there's not going to be any actual video component to it. More about just me talking about what happened today, I guess, than actual video. So if that's not your particular glass of brandy, then I hate to break it to you, that's probably what it's going to be. So we're going to see how this goes today. Now, when I said they are cracking down on filming, I mean they are cracking down. You get a big announcement before you take the field. How if they catch you doing it the one time, you get warned. The second time, you get kicked out. They have security guards roaming around the entire time, cracking down. They're making announcements over the loudspeaker not to film. So it's definitely a lot harder than it is in previous years, which is strange considering that it seems these videos are still leaking out. So I don't know, if that's working or not. This is also my first look at the 2025 makeup of the Steelers, and I'll be honest, I don't know what to predict with this team. It could go any which way. We know with Tomlin the standard is a standard. 500 or better is almost a guarantee. Every time you're rolled down and out, every time they're said there's not a chance they're winning more than 5 or 6 games, they almost always go 500 or better. At this point, that is the standard. And the field passes are a unique experience for sure. Sometimes you do hear, coaches giving directions, sometimes yelling at certain players. But yeah, you do get pretty up close and personal. But when it comes to the play on the field, generally the players are kind of set up on the sideline. You're behind them. So it's hard to see the action, say, on the field versus the stands. So the video that actually comes out of the stands would probably be more beneficial to someone that was looking than the video on the field. This is also our first look at new Pittsburgh Steeler DK Metcalf, which is pretty wild to say. Pretty crazy that this happened, but I really expected George Pickens to be on the other side. I thought Pickens would have a breakout year with DK on the one side because Pickens, is has a chance to be a number 1 receiver. But man, if he's got a number 1 next to him, it'll be interesting to see what he does in Dallas with CD. But DK is far and away the number 1 here. There's a picture that actually went viral this week, which is funny because I had a similar vantage when I was on the field of Darnell Washington making the other tight ends look like a dad with his kids. You know, he is enormous, like just a massive human being. And, you know, when you are actually field level with him to see the exact size of this dude, you're like, oh my God, man, if he breaks out like he had that touchdown in the Jacksonville game, he will be a problem to deal with if he actually finds his game. This is also our first look at new Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers, and curious to see, you know, what he brings, wearing his old lid that he's been wearing for 20 years that he fought for, the old Antonio Brown style, not recommended lid for this season, which is set to be removed from circulation next season, so we'll see if he plays more than another year. I guess that'll dictate based on his play. We really don't know kind of what this year is going to hold for him or them. And Rodgers did look pretty sharp on this particular day. Now, obviously, that was, you know, not necessarily he was being rushed or anything. Threw some touchdown passes, had some good-looking passes that hit right between the numbers. There were some struggle points, too. I mean, this defense is, you know, highly paid, the highest paid defense in the league. So seeing balls get batted down at the line, seeing passes, you know, be deflected or broken up is a good thing. Then, of course, there's Mason Rudolph in the return tour as well. He looked pretty good both on this camp day and the preseason game. You know, who's to say whether he'll get any playing time this year? Obviously, that leads into the health of Rodgers. I will say there was a good camaraderie there between the quarterbacks based on what I saw. Everybody seemed to be getting along real well. Now, of course, this was the day after I think Will Howard got injured or was ruled out, so we didn't get a chance to see him at all, unfortunately. There was a bit of a dust-up during this camp as well. I didn't really get any footage of it, and the players were in the way anyway on the sideline. But Caleb Johnson took a nice pop from a defensive player. I didn't catch who it actually was, and there were some words exchanged and some gathering there. There's actually been a few notable battles and fights in camp, at least more so in previous years. I appreciate the fire. You just wonder, you know, if this team can get along for the long haul and make it work. Then, of course, there's Skylar Thompson, who had a so-so day on this particular day, but a tremendous day during that preseason game. I know he's not Deion's son. You know, imagine if he was, he probably would have got more of the headlines for his performance in that Jacksonville game. It'll be interesting to see what the Steelers do here between him and Howard, because Howard can't play all training camp. You wonder if they potentially flip Skylar Thompson for a pick if he shows out in a couple of these other games. It'd be very interesting to see what they do. And there's Roman Wilson and the rest of the receiver group. You know, it's funny to hear the wide receiver coach yelling at them of a particularly bad outing on the far side of the field. It'll be interesting to see if they add to this group, or maybe Roman Wilson can step up, because Calvin Austin being a 2 at the moment is a concern. It's not that he's not skilled, but if you see him next to DK, it's really like a man and his kid. You know, Calvin Austin's 5'7". Can he handle the rigors of the 2 spot? Who knows? You know, just based on the day I was there, and understandably so, DK Metcalf was the favorite target of Aaron Rodgers. He was really looking for him in all circumstances, and that's understandable. You know, and to his credit, DK was getting open and catching contested balls, and that's exactly what you want to see from him. You know, obviously you're concerned about the durability, and you're definitely concerned about the depth behind him, but he looks pretty good so far. There were also some notable players that were not practicing on this day. Jalen Ramsey, we didn't see at all. We didn't see him in uniform. Will Howard, we didn't see at all, understandably so. We didn't see him in uniform. Cameron Hayward was in uniform, but only found out after I went to camp that he is doing like a sit-in, and he wants a new deal yet again. Boswell was out there practicing, but I know he wants a new deal as well. The Steelers do have some money to make these new deals, though. But time to get your predictor hat on. Let me know your thoughts on what the Steelers' record will be this season. I think it goes as far as Aaron Rodgers can take them. This is Mr. Rodgers' neighborhood after all. You know, who's to say this 41-year-old can hand up to the rigors of the NFL? You know, is it something where, you know, he has one Brady year in him? Who's to say? Also some questions on some of the older guys. You know, Hayward, who was coming coming off an incredible year last year, but he's not getting any younger. Watt's not getting any younger. Jalen Ramsey, you know, who knows? Are they going to add pieces to wide receiver or safety? Are they going to add at some other positions? Are some of the rookies going to step up? Are some of these second-year guys, a la Rowan Wilson, going to step up? There are many, many questions with this team, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. Well, that'll do it for Pittsburgh Steelers training camp 2025. As predicted and expected, they were cracking down pretty heavily on video. You know, they say you get a warning and after that you're gone, so I didn't want to chance it. Interesting day. Got to see a little skirmish. Caleb Johnson was knocked to the ground and there was a little bit of a skirmish there. Aaron Rodgers looked pretty sharp early on in some of the drills, and then, you know, had some kind of misses here and there. A few balls went overthrown, a few balls went wide, but ultimately pretty good for the most part. Nobody really stood out in practice today. This was a Wednesday. This is Wednesday, August 8th, 6th, 7th, somewhere in that neighborhood time frame. I didn't realize how early camp was this year. Camp ends up wrapping up pretty early this year. It used to go to like mid to late August, if I remember correctly, but maybe that's changed. But yeah, interesting day. It's always cool to see it from the field level. One thing to note, though, if you've ever been on the field for Steelers training camp and you know, are looking for autographs, it used to be that you would be able to leave the field and kind of go around to the one side and get autographs there. Now you cannot do that. So they have it completely restricted, whereas when you check in and you get your field pass, you used to be able to walk up to where all the fan stuff was, the fan shop, all the stuff they have on the upper level. You can't walk there anymore. You have to take the trolley up there now. So every year it changes. Every year it's a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, it's you never really know what you're going to get into coming down here. But definitely made it harder for people that do have field passes to get autographs based on the way that they have it laid out for this year. But who knows? They could change it for next year. But all in all, interested to see where the Steelers do in 2025. I have no idea. I have no expectations. You know, Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, of which, you know, we are all living in now. Who knows if this is a one and done for Rogers? Who knows if this is something where he's going to, you know, keep playing? I do know the Steelers have a boatload of draft picks going into this year, so clearly, you know, probably gearing up for a QB of the future going next year. But that'll do it for Pittsburgh Steelers training camp 2025. Guys, thanks so much for watching. If you are new here, make sure to like, share, subscribe. Like support me on Patreon like John Bailey, like Brett Persing, like Fayen. You can do so. Link is in the description below. If you'd like to buy a t-shirt, a TomWasHere t-shirt, you can do so at Spreadshirt, as well as links to my eBay store, Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, whatnot, Arena Club. Links are in the description below. When it comes to Pittsburgh Steelers training camp 2025, I can officially say that my name is Tom and I was here. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Bye, everyone.